Hello, everybody. A little bit late. Sorry about that. I'll wait for folks to join. Good evening. Good evening. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Whew. Sorry, I was a little bit late. See, folks are joining. I was actually trying to post something on my Instagram. Let me do this real quick. Welcome. Where's everybody joining from? Put in the chat where you're joining from. Man, how y'all doing? I'm gonna start off with being real. I'm pissed off right now. I was seeing some of the news coming out of Gary, Indiana. Okay, you're in Indy. Are you doing all right, Ashley? I was seeing some of the news coming out of Gary. I'm looking at, and it ties into what we're going to talk about tonight, so bear with me. But I was looking at what's happening with our food, right? I got a refrigerator full of blueberries that might kill me right now, right? Like, what are we doing, y'all? what are we doing? What are we doing? But it's really lighting a fire in me because this is why I started the Unbought and Unbossed Academy, right? This is why. Is your family okay? Do you have family up there, Ashley? You said you grew up in Northwest Indy. I hope your family is doing as well as possible. But this is why I started the Unbought and Unbossed Academy, because the writing is on the wall that these systems are collapsing, that these systems that we are paying our taxes into, the money is going up in smoke. The money is being laundered and stolen. And we are going to have to figure out, how are we going to take care of each other? How are we going to take care of ourselves as these systems collapse? And are we going to continue to sit and watch as it's happening? And I have no intention on sitting and watching as these systems collapse. And so the Unbought and Unbossed Academy is a space for Black women to come together to put our brilliance, our brain power in a space where we can start to think about, what does this look like? You know, I was creating a post, I'll just do it later after this, but I was creating a post and I was like, what does it look like to create our own emergency management systems? Because before there was a FEMA, how do we take care of each other? How do we take care of each other in Black communities coming out of Reconstruction when there were natural disasters? We had community. We worked together. There were people who had the equipment that we needed to clear trees from homes. We had people with the expertise. So now we have more access to financial resources than we did during Reconstruction, than we did during Jim Crow. But we are disjointed. We are disconnected. We are not in community anymore. And that was the point. That was the point, to disconnect us. When we had integration, it destabilized our power centers in Black communities. And so we need to build that back up again. When I was starting the Unbought and Unbossed Academy, I already was doing coaching. My background is in coaching. I have 20 years of experience in education, economic justice, coalition building, systems thinking is my jam. That's what my whole career is in. My degree is in sociology and gender and diversity studies. I study these systems. My master's degree is in organizational development, organizational conflict, and higher education. I study systems, right? And my whole career, I spent trying to look at the thread of why these systems operate in the way that they do, and it's because of racism, right? That's at the foundation of it. The reason that the systems operate in the way that they do is to keep Black folks, to keep poor folks in the position that they are in. It is a choice, it's a decision. Doesn't have to be this way. But even in those times where, like I said, in Reconstruction, in Jim Crow, Black folks, brown folks, we were able to figure something out. And so now it is on us to remember. That's why I created this. This is from my store on my website. The Remember Our Teachers collection that you see behind me. The ancestors left us a blueprint. We're not starting from scratch, but we have to do the work to come back into the community, to heal so that we can be in community with one another. And then to start to think again, to make curiosity, to make intellectual activism a priority for our communities. And that's why I named this an academy. This is a place for us to think, a place for us to pontificate on what could be possible. So thank y'all for letting me get that off. I was just, I could feel it in my nervous system. I'm just like, it's really go time. And this session was supposed to be about how do we build for our collective liberation. And that's what this is, right? We are witnessing it in real time. Let me just look in the comments. Okay, Ashley, you're saying you still have family without power, a 4 billion surplus, right? Mutual aid and going back to the village is essential, absolutely, and pulling our resources together. So, and I don't know, some of you, if you've joined before, if this is your first time, put a 1 in the chat if this is your first time connecting with me and hearing about the academy. I'm just curious what your like level of knowledge about the academy is before I dive into everything. So put a 1 in the chat if this is your first time connecting with me, please. So I started to talk a little bit about it, though. Again, my name is Najma Ahmed. I've created the Unbought and Unbossed Academy because, Ashley, as you are saying, this is not a drill. Things are going to get worse before it gets better. When I'm talking about the Unbought and Unbossed Academy, bringing together Black women, we saw 600,000 at least Black women who were laid off in 1 year, and that number is just increasing. And I talk about this, it is not on accident. It was by design to destabilize the economic power in the Black community. The Heritage Foundation president who wrote Project 2025 studied Black history and studied that we are a matriarchal society, and that if you want to come at the Black community, Black economic power, you're going to go through Black women. Last week, we talked about this more in depth. So I invite you to go on my YouTube and look at the live from last week where we talked about, or maybe the week before, but we talked about mutual aid and the history of mutual aid and why it was set up in the way our economic structure in our community was because Black men were not allowed to work. And so Black women had to become the economic foundation of our communities in a lot of ways, or else we would have starved to death. And so Black women were the architects of mutual aid. And so when we lay off 1 million Black women, fire Black women, it is clearly by design to be able to destabilize us. But what I know is that our brilliance didn't go away. Our brilliance didn't just disappear because we're not in these systems anymore. And so I've been an entrepreneur for the last 5 years. I've been coaching for 4 years. Again, my background is in education, career readiness. I've been supporting people who are at the transitional space in their lives and in their careers, my whole career for the last 20 years. That has been what I've been doing. And so I put that into a curriculum. I put that into a programmatic structure, and that is the Unbought and Unbossed Academy. But my question when I was starting this, like I said, was what is our project 2030? What is our plan? What are we going to do? It's not that we're going to figure everything out by 2030, but we need to right now in this moment be thinking about what are we creating? What systems are we building that is going to be able to protect us, and then to make sure that we can thrive. We're not only looking to survive this thing. I don't know about you all, but really looking to be able to thrive in the future, because this old world is collapsing. So what will this new world look like? And we get to decide that, because the benefit, I guess, of a collapse is that there are no rules anymore. And so we're at this point of being able to decide, okay, well, what are we going to do? What is it going to be outside of just watching everything crumble around us? Like I said, we're looking at Gary, Indiana, looking at what's happening with the climate. These weather systems are just going to continue to get more and more severe. So do we have somebody, who has expertise in emergency management? Can we combine them with somebody who has expertise in logistics? Can we create our own local or regional emergency management systems, particularly around centers that are heavily populated with Black folks? This is the imagination that we're going to need to have when we're talking about collective liberation. Can we create our own local FEMAs for Gary, Indiana, for New Orleans, for Chicago, for these cities that are heavily populated by us, that we know are going to be the first that are left behind when experiencing these disasters that we saw in Katrina? And so, it may be not something that we've seen before, but that doesn't mean that it's not something that we can do. And so that's the kind of work that we are going to be doing in the academy, just asking, what if we built this? What if it could look like this? Even if it's something that we have never seen before. And so I'm just looking through my notes. So I started to think about, like I said, what would it look like across sectors? What do we need? And so let me just put this in the chat in case people are new and have not seen the academy. Again, for Black women, the link is in the chat. If you are interested in joining, you can join now. The doors officially open on Monday, on the 24th. I'm so excited. I've been working very hard to get everything going, and it's going to be amazing. But I started to think about, okay, what are we going to need across sectors? What are we going to need in education? What are we going to need, in healthcare, wellness, mental health care? What are we going to need in the finance space? Third space is community spaces, climate, agriculture, food, right? Clearly, we're seeing that we're going to need to rapidly scale up supports and infrastructure around food. How we sustain our lives and our bodies is unstable right now, right? There's glass in the popsicles. And so needing to come together, people are already doing these work. There are already community farms. There are already, community gardens. There are experts who are already doing this. The Unbought and Unbossed Academy seeks to bring these Black women who are doing this work together. So we're not operating in silos anymore. And then we can start to quickly replicate. I'm not saying we are going to scale and have these huge things. That's not what it's going to look like. We're going to have to start thinking about how are we operating smaller in community, but how can we replicate what is working? How can we take what's already happening and then replicate it across communities? How do we get the information to each other outside of, the internet as well? And so it is going to take some work. It's going to take some work, but that's what the academy is to bring. I'm not going to figure all this out. I figured some stuff out and I'm leading this part of it, but my desire is to bring on other people who can think about it with me. And we figure this thing out together. It's not just going to be a one person, show. And it never was. It never was, despite whoever got the glory or whoever was most popular. So really thinking about what are we building across sectors. And so how do we do that? We're going to do that through, we're going to have monthly visioning sessions with members of the Academy. We're going to come together the fourth Sunday of every month to really talk about, okay, a specific topic and to dig deeper into it. I'm also going to want feedback from you all to help me to think about what is this going to look like. I'm not 100% sure, right? Was it going to be a report that we put out? No, not necessarily. This is something we haven't seen before. So we are going to work together to figure out what is the structure of this going to look like as far as what our vision is for this new world. So we're going to have these visioning sessions where we're going to be talking about that. And I'll be facilitating those. And people in the community with your expertise will have the opportunity to volunteer to lead those sessions as well. It won't just be me leading in those sessions. Once we start to identify different topics of need, we'll be tapping into the community. Right now, we have 80 Black women signed up for the Academy before the doors even open. And so my desire is to get as many Black women as possible. That's why I made it accessible. There is a free component. People can sign up for free if they need to, but also desiring to have as many people join as possible. There's a $10 a month rate, and then there's a $30 a month rate as well. And then people can join in for a lifetime $1,000 membership. Those rates are introductory. So those are valid through the end of September. And so if you want to get in at those rates, I would highly suggest doing it sooner than later. And again, the link to join and to look at what's included is in the chat. So this is what we'll be building towards. This is what will be happening, like I said, monthly visioning sessions. Another way that we'll be building together, a component of the program, is called the Council of Builders. So those people who want to be matched into a cohort to actually build something tangible together will be able to apply quarterly to be matched into a cohort. We just matched our first cohort, and I'll be announcing more next week. I have so many exciting things to announce, but in due time. But we just matched our first cohort of builders. They are about to start a 6-week process to really think about, okay, what do we want to build together? What is it going to look like? Helping to support them to have a strong foundation. And we don't know what's going to come out of that. That's the thing. Black women don't often have the opportunity to just try shit out, to just be curious, right? And so that's what this is. And to be comfortable with being seen trying. But to be comfortable with being seen trying, that's why I have my coaching module. So I have 13 coaching modules that will be live and available starting on Monday. And they're everything from developing your business, finding your niche, how to set up technology for your business, to doing the nervous system work that's required to be able to be seen trying, the fear of being visible. We have modules over leadership, over relational skills, being in community one-on-one. How do we even learn how to be in community again? Where we're not just trying to extract, but that it's a reciprocal community. There are coaching modules around that as well. So very robust supports as we build in community, as the cohort is building, supporting them. We're going to be learning from them as well to think about, okay, what is working, what's not working, what systems do we need to strengthen, what things do we need to have in place. So that's another aspect of how we will be building. And again, we'll have a cohort, 4 cohorts a year for those who actually want to build together. nervous system is screaming, right? And so that is we the work is is rooted in somatic healing and somatic understanding. So I have a whole coaching module on regulating your nervous system and explaining what is somatic healing. Why does it matter? How do we regulate our nervous system? The first Sunday in September, our first visioning session is going to be with a licensed somatic therapist, a Black woman, and she's going to talk to us about what's happening with our nervous systems as we build, and how do we regulate ourselves through the fear, because that's what it is. It's fear. And so another part of the academy and our collective liberation is working towards building out the mutual aid fund and the shared services network. So the shared services network and the mutual aid fund, they will come later. Basically, once we reach a point of sustainability for the program, to be able to pay for the people who are running the program and everything that we need, then we will start to reinvest the membership fees back into a mutual aid fund. The mutual aid fund will have oversight from the community. So we will solicit volunteers from the community who want to be a part of the kind of oversight of the mutual aid fund to ensure transparency. I also have my own advisory board that already exists with lawyers, tax accountants, organizing experts, logistic experts as well, who will support in the oversight of the mutual aid fund. There are more details that I'll go into next week for the office hours about the structure of the academy, the governing structure, and anything else that folks want to know about how the mutual aid fund will be run. But we will communicate out every step of the way. What is sustainability going to look like? What is that actual number going to be? So we can share out. And I've been working, and I will be able to announce very soon some ways that we can accelerate towards sustainability so that we can start reinvesting those membership fees back into the mutual aid fund, and that we can get other funding to be able to support the shared services network. So the shared services network is essentially, we will have therapists on board. We will have anything you need from web designers, bookkeepers, marketing experts available for the entire academy, for those who have paid in or those who are participating in the academy, to be able to access. So if let's say you're a member of the academy and you need some therapeutic support, you would get 3 tokens a month. You could use your 3 tokens to book an hour with the therapist. You can use your 3 tokens to book an hour with the web designer, and so on and so forth. So that will be the vision of the shared services network. And ideally, the people who are a part of the shared services network that will be able to pay through the academy will also be members of the academy. And so it is creating that kind of cyclical Black Wall Street that I've been talking about. So that's another aspect of how we are building towards our collective liberation. And also a part of the academy, like I said, we'll share ideas, we'll learn from each other, we'll learn from experts, we'll have a space for collaboration. So there are chat rooms. I'm excited about the chat rooms. I think it could be cool if we're engaging and using them, but where you can just log in whenever and be like, I need some help with this based on your sector. So if you're working in education and you're working on a project, you can go into the education chat room and kind of be like, does anybody have resources on this? Or I'm thinking about this. Does anybody want to collaborate on this project with me? And so that is another feature of how we'll be able to work together. There will be a space to hire each other as well. Again, as I started this off, 600,000 Black women being laid off in a year, pushed out of the workforce in a year. There are a lot of folks who need some work. And so there are some people who also need support in their businesses who will be a part of the academy. So there'll be a space for you to say what you need, what you're hiring for. But there'll also be a space where we can barter services. So if you're not in a position to necessarily hire, but you can build websites and you need your taxes done, and there's a tax person who needs a website, you all will be able to connect with each other, and barter services, to be able to look beyond, financial money exchanges. Because the other thing, as this world is changing and these systems are collapsing, we're going to need to think about that. What is our currency going to be? And our ideas are very powerful. Our knowledge is very valuable. And so that bartering services, I'm really excited about that being available for us as well in the academy. And then, like I said, really discussing what is our vision moving forward? What is our collective vision? My vision is that we dream the most expansive version of our world and that we build it together. That we are healing together, that we're in a space where we're dreaming together, and then that we are building together, that we are creating a new Black Wall Street, essentially, is what my vision is. Looking at, like I said, what are we going to need to sustain ourselves? What are we going to need to thrive in this new world as these systems are collapsing, where we can build community farms across this country, linking together, where we can build our own emergency response system so that we're not seeing Gary, Indiana sitting for 2 weeks without power and no support. I don't know what that looks like, but I think we could figure it out because we did before. And so my vision is taking our ancestral knowledge, taking ancestral wisdom, and expanding upon that. It is our turn to pick up the baton and get to building. And that's what my vision is, to bring together the space holders, the world builders who want to do this work, even the folks who aren't necessarily entrepreneurs yet, but are interested in building a new world and bringing us together, breaking down these silos and doing it, and then having some fun at the same time. So let me pause just for a second just to see, are there any questions in the chat? And then there's some questions that some people emailed me, and so I'm going to go over that as well. I don't know, Tracy, if you're on or not to call you out, but you had some amazing questions, and so I'm definitely going to get into them. But I would love to hear from anybody, and then if anybody actually wants to come on camera, I'll put the link in the chat if anybody wants to join me on camera. But please ask any questions in general about the academy. If you're building something in particular as well, and you have some questions in particular about what you're building and you want to ask that, you can ask me that too. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll keep talking a little bit. But definitely, if anybody has questions, jump in. Let me see what's in the chat. I was literally writing an essay on this about what our responsibility is to collective liberation. So much today is individualism and capitalism. How can we come together? We have an obligation. Absolutely. And that's why I'm building this. We've been sold, I was talking about before, we've been sold this myth of rugged individualism, American rugged individualism. Nothing in America has ever been built by one person, ever. It was us. It was on our backs. But that's what they tried to sell us, to keep us disconnected from community, that we have to do this all on our own. Let me see what else. Yes, it's an imperative, right? Okay. So please send in, if you have some questions, definitely drop your questions in the chat. There were some questions sent to me in email though, so I'll go through some of those. When will cohorts find out who they're matched to? So the cohorts, I'll double check with the person I'm collaborating with, but I believe they should have gone out today. But they will definitely go out this week, but I'll double check with her. But I think it should have gone out to them today. to see who they have been matched with. Did you apply, Ashley, to the cohort? And let me see. Let me pull up the questions from my email. And like I said, if you are watching and you have any questions about the Academy, drop them in the chat. So one of the questions, I'd love to learn more about the long-term vision and direction of this initiative. I'm especially interested in understanding how the community hopes to create meaningful, lasting impact for Black women beyond individual growth. And I think I've touched on that a bit, but you know, the reason that I created this, I could have easily done a typical well, not typical, but I could have done the kind of format of working with Black women to create their businesses. But beyond that, I wanted us to really ask, what are we building for and why? And how do we build together collectively? And so it's not I'm building my business, you're building your business. It is we're imagining this world. This is what I have to offer to this world. This is what you have to offer to this world. How can we collaborate so that we can get there in a stronger way, that we can go even further than I can go just carrying it on my own. And so that is at the foundation of the Unbought and Unbossed Academy. How do we build together, understanding that everybody is kind of doing their own thing, but looking at what are the cross connections, and what do you have that I don't have? What do I have that you don't have? And then how do we bring it together? That's what we will be working very intentionally to do. Another question that I got, I'm curious about how it envisions advancing generational wealth, strengthening our communities, and creating opportunities for collective influence at the local, regional, and national levels. So we have 80 women who have joined, 80 Black women who have joined the Unbought and Unbossed Academy so far. When I tell you the backgrounds of these women are amazing. I have on my own, I'm going to announce it officially, but y'all are in here. But even on my own advisory board, I have folks who have worked on national campaigns. I have folks who are national organizers. I have folks who are doing grassroots work as well. I have folks who have lived experience. The breadth of the experience that the Black women have that are already a part of the Academy and that will only continue to grow, they already have that influence. And so I like to say, I'm showing my age a bit, but if you watch Captain Planet, like we're about to Captain Planet this thing, like our powers combine. The influence is there. And so once we're able to come together and really be strategic about it, it's only going to magnify. Very confident about that. And like you said, at the local, regional, and national levels, and creating those opportunities. Because I'm also working to recruit young women as well. I want girls, 16 to 26-year-olds, they need to be a part of this academy too. We need to learn from them as well. They have something to teach us about the world that we are building. I want Black women from any socioeconomic status, degree, no degree, whatever. We all have something to contribute to this world. And so that is a core value of mine, to make sure that we are representing, regardless of background, socioeconomic status, education level, to create those opportunities. Another question I got was, I'd appreciate learning more about the organization's governance and long-term sustainability. So again, this will be announced next week, but I'll give just a little bit of a preview. We have been accepted by a national fiscal sponsor who specializes in working with grassroots organizations. They worked with from the Green New Deal to protecting Black lives in Atlanta to organization called Forge to another organization called Black Men Build. So they specialize in these grassroots organizations who are building movements. And we've been accepted as one of their programs that they are going to fiscally sponsor. What that essentially means, though, is that it is opening up doors for us to be able to receive 501c3 funding without having to be a 501c3, because I don't want the government in this. And so I'll talk more about it next week or in another space. But that is one thing that we are doing to ensure sustainability and governance structure. Once you are in the academy, because I want to ensure that there is transparency, I'm going to share the operating bylaws with you all. I have a president, vice president, or I'm the president, vice president, treasurer, legal secretary, logistics secretary that are all coming on board that I'll be announcing within the next week or so as well, who will be supporting the governing structure. The academy is now registered as an unincorporated nonprofit association. So we're not our own 501c3, but we are considered an unincorporated nonprofit association. So I've been working, y'all. I've been working to create a strong foundation behind the scenes so that we are also protected. A question that people ask is like, what if people try to sue you? And so I've been working with my legal team to anticipate that as we continue to grow, as we continue to do this work. It's gonna make some people mad, and that's all right. I don't really care. But we are working on that right now. But I'll share more. Like I said, next week. I'm so excited. I can't wait to share. But I will share more about the governance structure and some of the exciting things that have come into fruition just over the last few weeks. But we are absolutely planning for long-term sustainability. No problem. Hey. Yes, and I will also still have the LLC that will house the mutual aid fund. So keeping that completely separate and independent from anything dealing with the 501c3 and government oversight. So the mutual aid fund will still be housed in the Academy LLC arm. So yeah, just as a FYI. Because I heard that feedback from somebody, and it was a really good point in one of the other sessions that we had. So thank you all for that. And please, like I said, if you have questions, put questions in the chat. And it's all right, y'all. Late. It's good to see y'all. And this will be recorded, so you can watch it back as well. I started off being angry, so y'all missed a little bit of my fire. Just being pissed off that all the food is trying to kill us, and that Gary, Indiana, hasn't had any power for 2 weeks, and that is why I've created the Unbought and Unbossed Academy, because we need to figure out what are we going to do about creating our own systems, our own food systems, our own emergency response systems. So that's what we were talking about at the top of the meeting. Another question in the chat. Oh, let me see. Hold on. Somebody asked in the chat. I recently left a male-led mastermind that spoke of liberation. What drew me here is a hopeful strategy amongst women and the opportunity to help building something. Yes. And it's different. And people have asked me, why not include Black men? And I mean, I'm kind of exhausted by the question, to be honest. Black men had the what's it called? The Million Man March, and they understood then why the Million Man March was important. And so at this point, I just turn the question back on to them, right? If you could understand why the Million Man March was important, then you can understand why we need the Unbought and Unbossed Academy and why this space is for us. But a lot of Black men have also been supporting wholeheartedly. And so I also want to say that as well. let me see, something that I'm looking in the chat, some orgs, businesses fall into when doing these kinds of initiatives can be mishandling. Yeah. And so that's why I have my tax person. I've known her for over 20 years. She's my sorority sister as well, but she has worked at the national level. She is a CPA. She was in the Navy. She is about her business. She's my big sister, so she's gonna tell me the truth. She's gonna be honest. She's gonna hold me accountable. And I told her that's what I want. And this will be transparent. You all will get constant updates, full transparency for everything dealing with, like I said, the mutual aid fund and how this is running. I want us to feel comfortable and to build trust. And trust comes from transparency and ensuring you all that I'm getting and I have the experts in place to make sure that we will steward, these funds appropriately. Let me see. Any other questions? Back-end infrastructure onboarding, that's what I do. Yes, absolutely. And I hope you are joining the academy if you're not in there already. But we will definitely need that expertise that you're talking about with the back-end work. But you might already be in the academy if you were posting in there earlier. I'm not sure if you're. Oh yeah, Ja. Yep, you already in there. I think I saw you earlier. So yes, definitely will need that support as we continue to scale. Okay. What other questions do we have? I think I said, or did I read this already? How are decisions about funding and resource allocation made? Who helps set these priorities, and how will the community reinvestment fund evolve over time? Love that question. I want the community to have a large part in determining how the resource allocations are made, who helps set the priorities, and how the community reinvestment fund will evolve over time. I want the community to own that work. I'll have final approval along with my treasurer and tax person. But there are a number of different ways this can go. So for instance, one thing we were talking about, we want to be able to invest. So we have the Council of Builders, the cohort who is building businesses together. We want to be able to invest in those businesses. So let's say we get to a point where we're able to invest $10,000 startup funds in each of those businesses in that cohort. We could write in, once you make your first, I don't know, $100,000 in your business, then you pay that money back, right? Whatever. I'm just throwing some numbers out there. So then it becomes a revolving investment that we are making. But that's just one idea. So there are a number of different ideas. I don't want to have to be the only person figuring all this out. And so this will be community driven. I will have a space where people can volunteer to sign up with your expertise. If you have ideas, if you're interested in helping to guide and determine how the community investment fund works, you can sign up for that committee. Like I said, I will still have final say just for transparency, oversight, as well as tax accountant and treasurer as well, to make sure we're making fiscally sound decisions. Another question, let me see. I think that might be it. Yeah, that was the last question there. So any other questions, thoughts, general thoughts, anything in the chat about how this will work? Oh, okay. Hold on, let me see. I see. When cohorts partner up, is there a plan for the shared operational layer, intake, client records, delivery? I build that for a living, and I'd rather be designed on purpose than assembled in a panic. Yeah. So I'm gonna schedule some time with you. So yes, that is going to be needed. So right now, the cohorts, are in the space of kind of doing their visioning, like, okay, what could we build together? So they're going to go through that for the next 6 weeks. But once it comes to that 6 weeks and they decide, okay, yes, we're going to launch together, we are going to need that expertise to help them. So that's the vision behind the shared services network, is to have kind of like a Black woman back office that we can have on retainer to then support these businesses. So right now it's contingent upon funding, and so working to figure out what that would look like. But I would love to connect with you and talk about what would those numbers look like, so we can start to budget for them, fundraise for them, put a benchmark from your expertise as well, and then what that could look like working with you. So absolutely, 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 we are going to need your services, and I would love to connect with you to learn more about that, because yeah, we want to be able to give them the support so they're not having to build in a panic, and to be proactive. And so these are some of the asks once the academy opens up on the 24th. I'm going to have sign up sheets for people and to share like what your expertise is and how you kind of want to lean in, where you want to help advise on those members who are joining in at the this won't just be for them, but the members who are joining in at the $1,000 kind of lifetime membership level, they will initially start off helping to advise, but I don't want it to just be for those who can afford it to be advising. So I'll have volunteer, there will be a volunteer section on let me just show y'all. So Sunday, I want y'all to come on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be giving a tour of the academy, but since y'all are here, you can get a little glimpse real quick, just on the back end, to see what it will look like. And as I'm doing this, feel free to, well, you'll be able to see what's there. I'll show you that. Let me see. Yes, both of y'all are in the academy, so y'all gonna be able to connect and work together. Let me share my screen real quick. So you all, if you're in the academy, you can't see this just yet on your end, but everything will be live starting on Monday, and you'll be able to come and see Sunday evening, and so you'll get a deeper view. But this on the left is basically everything that you'll have access to. So everybody, whether you join for free or not, will have access to this part. So getting started, your welcome, introduction, announcements. You all can see that right now in the events. Everybody, whether you join for free or not, will also have access to the village. So the village will have a Black woman-owned business directory. It'll have a space to hire and be hired, to barter services. There'll be a resource guide. There'll be a space for you to volunteer. My podcast, I have a podcast called The Free Black Girl. Podcast will live here. Books and article recommendations. You can book a discovery call with me in case you want some one-on-one support. And you're not in the tier that offers that. You can book this time with me, because I also do I have a production company, so I do podcast production work. I do one-on-one coaching if you want some healing journey advising. I do kind of some spiritual coaching if you want to understand how to connect with your ancestors, all kinds of stuff. So if you want additional support, you'll be able to book there. I have a store. I talked about my merch, some stuff you see on the wall back there, but you can shop in the store, and different tiers, you get a discount in the store, and you'll get your discount code on Monday. And then there are 3 free coaching modules for people. So that will be the community one-on-one. There's a self-coaching module, and there's a coaching on basically how to get all of your services out of your head and put some structure around it. So those will be free. These chat rooms will also be open for everybody. So, you'll be able to come in if you're working on education and kind of chat about what you're working on, resources, things like that, financial literacy, et cetera, et cetera. So this learning hub, that's for those who have paid in. So if you've paid in at the $10 a month, then you'll get access to the business foundations. And I'll just show y'all real quick, but these are some of the modules that are in here. So finding your niche, network mapping, all that good stuff. And then I haven't uploaded these all the way yet, but for the $30 a month, you'll also get access to these around mindsets. So nervous system regulation, visibility, abundance and scarcity, relational skills, et cetera, et cetera. For the $30 a month and for the lifetime members, you'll get access to both of those. The $10 level, you'll get the business foundations. And then you'll get access at the $30 a month to monthly live group coaching sessions. In the lifetime member, you'll also get access to written questions. So you'll be able to submit 2 written questions a month at the $30 level or at the lifetime member level. And then lifetime members will get a free, one free one-on-one, 90-minute one-on-one session for the lifetime members that you can use whenever you want throughout the year. So that was a high level tour. You can come back on Sunday and I'll go more in depth on the tour, but I just wanted to show y'all real quick because I'm excited and it's going to be so fun. But any other questions? Any other questions? What y'all think about the platform? Does it look like something y'all will actually engage with and use? Let me see. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. We got a few minutes left. Yay. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be a really great space to, yeah, I like Circle. Circle is a good, it's a good space to be able to actually engage with folks. And we don't have to, be on social media all the time and have our own separate kind of space to engage with each other in. So it's exciting to be able to do. But any other questions? That's essentially what I wanted to touch on tonight, to answer some of those questions that folks had around the program, the governance structure. Like I said, I'll be sharing more and having some more announcements next week after the academy opens. Okay, dope. Yeah, we'll talk some more. And I was about to say something. Oh, share this with as many Black women as you know. They don't have to be entrepreneurs either. I want to have as many Black women in the academy as possible. Like I said, there is the free tier. So, I want folks to pay. It is extremely discounted value. The price will go up a bit in October. It's not going to be crazy, but the price will increase starting in October. But I was telling folks, generally those coaching modules, the business structure coaching modules is typically $2,500. So to get it at $10 a month is extreme discount. So the vision, like I said, is to make it accessible for as many Black women as possible. The more people, the more we have 80 people who have signed up so far, but the more people that we have join, the better. So definitely share more. Building adaptable training modules. Yes. I love your algorithm already, and I've been thinking about many ways that we will collaborate for sure. Um, oh yes, send it to your mom. We're definitely intergenerational. Um, yes, you and your mom, everybody. We want you to be here and to be in the group, for sure. Your mama, your cousins, everybody. Okay. Any other questions before we hop off? And thank y'all. I feel better. Like I said, I was whew, annoyed coming on here, just looking at the state of the world right now, but I get grounded being in this space with you all, knowing that that's why we're here. That's why we're building what we're building. I knew this was coming, but we are the ones we've been waiting for. June Jordan. I love that quote, and I say it to myself quite often. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Um, Share on building a creative studio in Japan. Ooh, yes, I want to come to Japan. Yes, yes, yes. That's amazing. Um, share sharing the academy. You can share it social media or wherever. You can send emails, people that you know directly, text it to them. You can send the link here. Let me put the link in the chat again. No, that's not the right link. Copy, paste. You can share the link that I just put in the chat with any Black woman that any Black woman, period. Any Black woman, you can share it with them, and I would love for them to join. And then these live sessions, they live on my YouTube page. So if you want to share this actual session out, you can do that as well. And I'm gonna send up a follow-up email at some point. So actually I'm gonna post the link to this in Circle, so you can get that link there. Yeah, man. It is absolutely needed. I tell folks, you know, I started building this 3 years ago, but I really realized I've been working towards this for the last 20 years. My whole career has been in the intersection of social justice, economic justice, education. And I realized like, oh, I just connected the dots between what the ancestors have been calling towards. This work is a spiritual work for me. This is the ancestral work for me. I heard in a meditation a few years ago, the ancestors were like, you don't think you did all this healing to keep it to yourself, did you? And so I feel like there is a group of us who have been called to this work to help to support others as they are coming into their awakening, to learn from each other and to grow together. So it's time, y'all. It's time. It's world building time. It's nation building time. We can cry when we need to, we can rest when we need to, but we about to do this thing, and I'm extremely excited. I can't wait to learn from you all. I know y'all are so brilliant. I can feel it. Like I can feel the energy, and it makes me so happy. So thank y'all for joining. I could talk to y'all all night, but I'm about to cut me up some fruit and hope it doesn't, kill me. Wow, there we go. Y'all have a good night. I hate to end on that note. I'm gonna be fine. The fruit will be delicious. Have a good night. Email me if you have any questions. Introduce yourself in the academy. Come back on Sunday at 8 for a full tour. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Good night.